Well, thank you for inviting me. I never spoke to Rotary before, but we're just sitting talking at a table a minute ago and talking about sharks. And I was out fishing. I was out halibut fishing off the Goose Banks just south of the Charlottes. And I was out on a 46-foot boat. Thought it was a pretty decent sized boat to go out on. And it was really calm out there. We put our skates and gear out. We're just kind of lounging around. And we saw these blue sharks kind of mulling around looked like an old whale carcass. So we thought, it'd be kind of fun to try and bring one of these blue sharks closer. So we took a gaff. We thought, well, just get them on the tail and kind of bring them in a little closer, right? I've never had such a powerful fish. It just about pulled 3 of us in, and this is only a 6-foot shark. Those guys are powerful. So we lost a gaff overboard and never went after sharks again. The halibut were good enough. Some of those halibuts were bringing in like 200 and 300 pounders. They're big and they can hurt you. So we were real careful out there. So I only did one trip. I hit a really big storm. 3 days of up and down, smash, crash. I thought I was going to die. Threw up for 3 days. I didn't eat anything for 3 days. How can you throw up? But you just keep throwing up. Dry heaves. And after that, I got off the boat in Namu. Couldn't get a flight out because the storm had stopped all the flights. I had to work in Namu because there was no place to stay. So I had to work in the fish packing plant to stay in their bunkhouse. Interesting times. That's the thing about being young. You get to do so many cool things. And it's only afterwards when you realize, wow, it's kind of a great experience. At the time, I thought, never again. But anyway, I'm going to talk today a little bit about health in general, because as a pharmacist, that's what we deal with, health care. But just the fight against disease has been going on forever. Well, ever as long as this earth has been around. We know history, Josephus, biblical history, leprosy, infirmity, blindness, deafness. It was there. It's been with us all the time. Black plague, the bubonic plague, caused by Yersinia pestis. We know that. Smallpox, diphtheria, whooping cough. We didn't have a lot to fight it for many thousands of years. The remedies were weird. I don't know if they worked that well. I don't think they did. Infections in general. A lot of women died in childbirth because just a simple thing like not birthing the placenta correctly, and they just get clots and end up just dying. Or infection. They get an infection and nothing they could do, and that was it. And then, of course, our viruses, which we deal with, everything from, they call it, swine flu, the H1N1, which we had recently. But the original, not the original one, but the big one we think about is the Spanish flu, which killed 50 million people after the Second World War. Considering that the Second World War killed 10 million, the war, and the flu in 1918, 1919 was between 20 and 50 million people. And then, of course, the AIDS epidemic with HIV, then Ebola, hepatitis A, B, and C, and now, of course, Zika. It seems every time we kind of get one under control, oh, there's another virus. Where did this come from? And pneumonia, of course. Pneumonia is still a big thing that we're fighting. So what do we do with it? What has happened? So, of course, medicine, I guess, is a word, a catch-all, medicine. Curse or cure. It's big business. It's big business. I mean, I don't know, what's the cheapest drug I have? What would be per tablet? What would you say the cheapest one I have in my store? What would be? What do you think?
Aspirin.
28 cents, maybe, right? Penicillin, pretty cheap stuff, maybe 15 cents. What's the most expensive one that I can get, or I do get from time to time? Per pill, per tablet.
$1,400.
Close.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. $1,125. Harvoni, which is for hepatitis C. And hepatitis C, you think, well, what's hepatitis C? You always think about hepatitis C, and it's associated with intravenous drug users and those kinds of things. Well, the tainted blood scandal, right? A lot of people got it from that. So there's a lot of people out there that have hepatitis C that, not through no fault of their own, they've got it. And how do you deal with it? So an 8-week course is $63,000, and a 12-week course is $94,500. So who pays for that? Right? So you have hepatitis C, who's going to pay for that? So if you're lucky and you have a third-party payer that pays, think about that. They're going, like Blue Cross is going, oh, right? Right? $94,000 for one person for one illness for just 12 weeks. So There's a lot of money. So why is it worth $94,500? Because it's business. Because they can. The Mylan company just bought the rights to EpiPen. Did you see that in the States? And what do? They got it, and what do? Double the price. Why? Is it worth that much then? No, because they can. It's business. So we have on the one side, we have problems, infections and things we're dealing with. And we have on the other side, we have big business, which is making a lot of money off of these things. And of course, to their, in their favor, they actually come up with the cure. Or they came up with it. They actually had to spend millions and millions of dollars in research. For instance, and not all of them work. I can tell you there's a tablet we have, it's a blue tablet. It's kind of in a triangular or a diamond shape. And they were trying to, it was for blood pressure. And they were getting this drug up for blood pressure, and it didn't work. It didn't work well for blood pressure at all. Luckily for them, it had some interesting side effects. And so Viagra came up. During their trials, they found out you have to report everything that happens to you in your trial. That's why when you read those things, it says, death. Sometimes, they have the big thing on TV. They say, this can happen to you, this can happen to you, and death. Well, somebody had a car accident while they were on an experimental drug. They have to write that down, that could be caused by the drug. Because you could have a blackout, right? And so that's why they have all these lists of things. So anyway, Viagra was a blood pressure medication that didn't work very well for blood pressure, but they use it for other things. But not all happen like that. Not all are serendipitous. Lots of them are just, they're gone. You lose the money. Millions of dollars of research, and you find out that it causes, liver failure, or, it causes a problem with the brain, or something happens. You've spent millions of dollars and you get zero for it. So to their credit, they have to make money for these things. And that's sort of what drives, it drives it. But once they've actually found the drug, it has to sort of pay for all the ones that didn't work. But they can set the price. And because it's business, that's up to us. So pharmacare, when I first started in pharmacy, pharmacare was not much. And they come out, they said, we want to help the seniors a little bit, and we want to help the people that are disadvantaged on social services. So it came out way back when that they would pay for some of that. And we used to manually bill it in. It wasn't very much in our daily thing. Most of it was cash paying and stuff like that. But then as the prices of things got higher and higher and the government started getting more and more involved, they became bigger payers. And then they started saying, well, they started seeing the demographic a long time ago. When I was in school in 1985, we knew that this demographic was coming. But governments are fairly short-sighted because they're looking to get elected, and so they can't make long-term plans. They know it's coming, they say, well, we'll do this to try and do this to get ready for it, but it's just short-term. So this big lump of people have come. And the second thing that's happened is that we now know how to diagnose everything almost. In the old days, if you would go in to see a doctor, they couldn't diagnose, say a low thyroid the way we can, just like that, with T4, all these different things. So the doctors are responsible if they know that you have something, they have to treat you. I mean, that's just, can you imagine if you went to see a doctor and he put some tests out and he found out you had a whole bunch of things and he said, no, I'm not going to treat you. It doesn't work that way. So because we can diagnose so much better, we know so much more what's wrong with you, that's why some people come in, why do I have 12 drugs? When before, I remember people would have 2, and that was a lot, thyroid and maybe some blood pressure. But now it's cholesterol and, bladder, and you name it, everything. So when you go see a doctor and they know something is wrong, they can prescribe something for you, otherwise they're negligent. So when you go in, that's why people get a lot more medications. We get a lot more medications prescribed, they're getting more expensive. And so what do government and third-party payers do about it? They have formularies. So now you go in and they say, well, we'll pay for metoprolol, but we won't pay for, say, candesartan, which is a newer blood pressure medication. So your doctor doesn't know this. So your doctor says, I know the best thing for you is candesartan. It's the best one out there. Because he wants to give you the best. You come to me and I say, well, it's not covered by pharmacare. Well, not covered by your Blue Cross plan. Oh, so now what do? So now there's special authority forms we can do. So the bureaucracy is becoming very, very big. So now I just had another thing from Blue Cross where they have 3 now separate things. Special authority forms for things that they might cover, formularies for things they don't cover at all, and formularies for generic substitution that you have to substitute for. So we're getting into quite a very complicated medical system. And as a pharmacist, we see it all the time. And it becomes harder and harder to kind of wade through it. But it's good because that's what we have to do to keep it going. We can't just, the cost would be too high. So the problem, of course, with medicine, let's say cure or curse, is talking about some of the things that are going on right now is you're looking at the overdosing that's happening. I don't know if you're aware of some of the overdosing happening. We're getting real good at finding medications for things, but anybody heard of W18? Have you heard of fentanyl?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why? What do you know about fentanyl? You're not pharmacists. Are you guys on fentanyl?
It's killing people.
What?
Killing a lot of people.
So what is fentanyl?
It's an opiate.
It's an opiate.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How many times stronger than morphine?
A lot.
100. What's W18? It's an opiate. It's 100 times stronger than fentanyl. A guy in Calgary, a pharmacologist in Calgary, and he was back in the 70s, they were trying to find another way of getting around opiate addiction. Because opiate addiction is something we always worry about. Good pain reliever, but it gets on the new receptors, it gets into your body, and a lot of people get addicted to it. That's not a great thing. So he was studying this, and they came up with this really novel pain reliever. And he had 18 different compounds in this called a W series. And the 18th one they found was really potent. And then they found out that it was an opiate and it was doing all sorts of things, so he scrapped it. He put it away, and I don't know, I guess he put it in his vault or something, but somebody, somewhere, got a hold of it. So now in China, they got a hold of it, and they're making this stuff W18, and it's all being shipped back. One of the things you probably don't know about fentanyl, I know you've probably heard the government talking about fentanyl, maybe they talked about the crackdown, like in pharmacies. They're always talking about fentanyl in pharmacies. No fentanyl comes from a pharmacy. It gets on the black market. Other than the patches, some people chew them or something, The fentanyl is coming overseas. It's being manufactured somewhere. Now they're making it in Canada. There's 6 ingredients which you can make it out of. I won't tell you which 6 they are, because you can just go and buy them. And they've just now passed a law, I think it's just the other day, where they're now going to be regulated, those 6 ingredients, and you cannot get them. But they're cooking them up and doing that. So for the fentanyl overdoses, in the first 6 months alone was 371 in BC. 371. There was, well, that's from all overdoses, 238 from fentanyl. And they feel that 700 plus by year end. This is like this whole hotel, right, full of people, and these people are dying. And they don't even know it's getting into the drug that they're getting. So you go for some cocaine and they put a little fentanyl in it. How much fentanyl can kill you? What do you think it would take? Look at that salt shaker right there. How much of that salt shaker do you think would kill you?
1 pinch.
2 grains.
Two salt grains.
2 salt grains of fentanyl could kill you. If you were completely drug naive and you took those. This W18 is so potent that if you opened a bag that these tablets were in and inhaled it, you could die within 2 minutes. Like, this stuff is out there. So, medicine, cure or curse, we can cure lots of things with it, but it can be used, in bad ways. People have to be aware of that. Even the stuff you take, like even your regular medicine, could have lots of side effects. You know that, right? One of the things I do is try and minimize people's side effects by making sure they take it appropriately. They come in, they report to me, I report back to the doctor, say, so-and-so is getting their legs are swollen like this, we should cut down that amlodipine a little bit, I think. And the doctor looks at it and goes, oh wow, yeah, let's do that. So part of my job is to, because I'm the front line with people, I give it out and I hear it a lot back. Sometimes the doctor write a prescription and he won't hear it from the person for 3 months. But I've heard from 5 times. They'll phone me up, oh man, my big toe's going black, what do I do? Well, so exactly. Like in a case like that, I'd be like, you better go see your doctor. But things like that we help a lot at. So we see some of the problems with our medicine. They're very potent, they're very good, but things can happen. So with this overdose thing, it's something that we hate to see, but there's not a lot that we can do about it. So getting back to fentanyl, we had to have time-locked safes in all of our stores. It cost us thousands of dollars. They were afraid that these little patches we have, the fentanyl patches we get out to people. I think in BC we've had 2 robberies for fentanyl, like outside the Lower Mainland. But again, the fentanyl does not come from us. Anyway, yeah, you see that thing in in Australia, they seized 95 kilograms of cocaine. That stuff is probably also cut with some fentanyl or something. It's a terrible thing. So what do you do about that? You've heard about naloxone? It's just starting to get going. I just had two doctors asked me for like a vial of naloxone. They want to keep it in their office. You know, starting to get out to people so they can, if you get to them right away, you can inject naloxone right away. Can reverse, or not reverse, but it's an antidote for the effects of the opioid, so you can save them. The problem with this W18 is, you know, you figure it a couple of minutes. You know, you got to be real fast on that naloxone. I don't know, it scares the pants off me. The fact that stuff's even out there. So medicine is, you know, is a great thing. We love it because we do such good things. I mean, look at our mortality rate. What's your life expectancy right now for a man? It's probably,
82.
Dr. Trump, you probably know.
Yes.
Our life expectancy is probably 82.
2.
Keep going higher.
What's that?
Go higher.
Yeah. It wasn't very many years ago. Like I remember guys at 45, you know, in the bush, they'd have a heart attack and they'd be dead, and it was no big deal. Like, oh yeah, 45, old guy, right? 50 years old. So we're living longer because of good medicine, but with that, of course, comes lots of other things. So it's a good thing for us, but just remember that they are good things and they can be bad things. Some off-label drugs I was just telling you about that we have fun with, like the Viagra story. Another one's gabapentin. I don't know if you ever had gabapentin. I give it out all the time for long-term chronic pain, and the first thing that people do is they look down and they go, oh, this isn't for me? Because the first thing it says, it's an anticonvulsant. I don't have seizures. And so we're starting to use a lot of drugs that are cross-labeling, where it works well for long-term chronic pain, but the actual reason why we first found it was for something totally different. Amitriptyline, we almost never use amitriptyline as an antidepressant. If you have it for long-term chronic pain, the first thing you go is, I'm not depressed, why am I getting this? And it's actually really good, helps you sleep, you know, helps again with the perception of the pain, and helps those kind of things. So many times you probably will be prescribed something and you'll look down and go, are you kidding? It's not for me. But it truly is. It's something that we have to do, or not have to do, it works well for people. So, as you're going to see as we go forward, doctors are going to be, or not doctors, but government's going to be doing more practitioner-based. My son just got into pharmacy. He's no longer going to be a Bachelor of Science of Pharmacy. They don't make him anymore. He's going to be a PharmD. That's all they're going to graduate. Why? Because they want them to prescribe. We have nurse practitioners which prescribe. So pharmacists in the future were going to be minor ailments. If you had something, a small thing wrong with you, don't go to Merge. They'll be shipping you off to the pharmacy. And the PharmD will be looking at you and actually prescribing, because it's a lot less expensive than going up there. Of course, they're going to be trained to look at, see things and go, oh, you better get up there. You know, it's not like we're going to be treating you completely. It's just like a triage kind of thing. So the future of medicine is to have more community care outside the hospital if we can, because it's less expensive. More practitioners doing small things that they can do, which lowers the cost. Formularies of drugs, so that we still give you a drug that works, but it might not be the most expensive one, but it's still a good drug. That's, you know, pretty common. And, you know, just in general, trying to, you know, keep the lid on the pricing. More pressure on big business to, you know, stop doing that. Put your pricing down. In pharmacy, ours has dropped quite a bit, 25% in the last few years. Generic pricing has been down quite a bit, which is a good thing. So they are helping to do that. So, any questions? Yes.
One of the things I've heard from people, and I haven't experienced this, but people have said to me when they get prescribed the generic versus the name brand, that sometimes the generic is not as effective. Now, one would think that the chemistry has got to be pretty precise. You would think they'd be the same. So what's your observation? Is that true, or is that just people's psychological response?
The government of Canada requires that all lots are tested. So whether you are, let's say, name brand valsartan and generic valsartan. So you get Diovan, the main company makes it, they find it, they manufacture it in their tablet. Now there's not just drug in your tablet, there's about 6 to 10 or 12 other ingredients in a tablet, because they come through big flow things. They got to flow. When the tableting thing hits it, they can't stick. So you've got all sorts of different things in that tablet: coloring, binders, fillers, you name it. Because a lot of times the drug is so small you can't even touch it. They're like a little couple, few grains. And when you put them in this great big hopper with the drug and you mix it together, what are the chances that every tablet is going to have exactly the same amount of drug? 0. But it can be within a range. So there's a range which the government says you have to be within. So then they have to test their lots. Now, where do the drugs come from? Most generic drug manufacturers do not make their own drug. They buy it from Bayer, they buy it from, BASF, like big drug companies. All they make is drugs. So they buy these lots of drugs, and it's the same place that the name brand people get it from. So the drug is the same. It's when they start making their tableting, all these different things, you could get, it's possible to have a batch that may be slightly low standard. I believe, though, that the name brand put a little bit more in. I do. Just to make sure that it's potent enough, because they're always over. And sometimes, here's Tylenol 3 and Lenotec 3. Generic Lenotec 3, Tylenol 3. Tylenol 3 is a hard tablet. Lenotec 3 is a softer tablet. Lenotec 3 dissolves in your stomach quicker. More side effects for some people. They can't take it. They want Tylenol 3 name brand because the tablet comes apart slower. And so it's a smoother, so there's lots of things in there that are not to do with the actual how much drug is in it. It's how fast the tablet dissolves in you. You're different than me. We're all, and so many different things. So a short answer is they should be the same. The government requires it to be the same. They have regulations and sampling. So it's mostly other things that have the problems I find. Once in a while you do get an odd batch. I have seen it, but not very often. Yeah.
I got a question.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, this was made aware to me that what's happening is the government is paying for less, so our extended health benefits are having to cover more, and people are tapping out at their maximum limits.
Yes.
What do you say about that? Do you see that a lot?
Absolutely. Because here's the thing. Pharmacare is first payer, and you have a deductible. It's based on your income. So let's say you had a $2,000 deductible. At that point, Pharmacare starts to pay something. So at the beginning of the year, you haven't reached your deductible. You may have a $50 deductible with your extended health plan. So you come in, you get your first prescription, it's $100, $50 deductible, $50 paid for by and maybe you get 80% of that, or whatever you pay 20%. So that money is going towards your Pharmacare deductible, but they're not paying anything yet. So through the year, you keep doing this. Your Blue Cross or whoever is paying their portion. Suddenly you get to that magic $2,000 number, and Pharmacare says, oh, we're going to pay 70%. So now they're first payer. So now we ship the Pharmacare through our computer. It all goes computerized. So it goes to them first. They pay their 70%. 30% comes back. That goes off to Blue Cross. They pay 80% of 30%, so 24%, and you pay 6%, right? So now Blue Cross is now paying only 24%, not 80%. So now Pharmacare says, oh, we don't pay for that drug. So for the entire year, Blue Cross has to pay 80% of that drug. See what I'm saying? So this is where it becomes, where the pressure becomes on the third-party payer to, they're putting out much more. Now, because drug prices are going up, it's much more expensive, and doctors are writing for stuff that really works. They want the best for you. And so you come in, and all this happens, unbeknownst to them, kind of. Although I fax them all the time saying they won't pay for this. Can you try something else? But that's true. So third-party payers are, Great West Life, Sun Life. They're all paying a lot more because Pharmacare has backed off because they can't afford it. That's, they're saying we can't sustain it. It's unsustainable.
Well, and I went on to Statistics Canada, and I'm thinking it's us baby boomers were the problem, but immigrants. They're really taxing on our healthcare system.
It's a lot. There's a lot. It's the demographics.
Yeah.
It's the kind of drugs, the cost of drugs. Yeah. It's a number of things. Yeah. I would say there's probably 5 or 6 big factors. It's like a perfect storm coming all at the same time, and like, whoa, what are you going to do? Right. So everybody's scrambling to try and find an answer, and there's no good answers. Not yet. Question?
I have a comment about fentanyl. I read the other day. There's music festivals and stuff that happen all over the place, and now apparently they put up a booth at all of these festivals where party goers can test their drugs. And they have found now lately 80% of the drugs that they're testing contain fentanyl.
Yep.
Wow.
80%.
I think the last I saw was 86% was containing it. And the idea is to get you addicted. I mean, that's the whole point, right? That's what they're trying to do. They want you addicted, so they can then. That's what they do. That's the a lot of, like I say, a lot of it's coming from China. They've sourced it out back to theirs. Questions?